Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Okay, welcome back, viewers and listeners, to episode 3 of the Two Dads podcast. And that's not the number 2, that is TOO Dads. And that guy there that you can see, or you'll hear in a moment, is Sid, and I'm Phil. And the reason for Two Dads, Sid, can you remind me?
It's because we are so much like dads. We are just
like dads.
Always dads.
Now,
every answer's like dads.
Exactly.
All the dad jokes.
True.
You know. So what do you call a woman that only has one leg?
Eileen.
There you go. It's a dad joke. So that's
and
us.
On the Two Dads podcast, what we try to do in our episodes and what we're all about is writing a love letter to common sense. And in episode 3, Sid, who is going to receive our love letter of common sense?
Something that's surely missed. We've gone from lockdown to lockout.
Yes, we have.
It's a very fantastic day in Melbourne. If you're listening from another country or from another state, Melbourne, yes. We are calling it our Freedom Day.
Some would contest if that's an accurate reflection, considering there are still restrictions in place, but certainly certain freedoms have been granted given we've reached a certain milestone. Yes, that's right.
70%.
Yep.
It's fantastic. Now, we have to address for the elephant in the room first. Right now.
We normally kick this off, right? And this is how we kick off our podcasts.
Yeah.
All right. What's this episode's pun? Let's go.
Okay. No. There's no other way to say it. Okay?
Okay.
I'm just going to come straight out with it. I've been laughing about it since I found it last week. And I haven't said anything to Phil.
No, I don't know. And just for the listeners and viewers, today's topic, I'm finding out about all this as this unfolds in the podcast. So I'm just going along with whatever Sid wants to talk about. So I don't know anything. What have you got?
I'll just say it. Okay. It's in Param.
Okay.
Which is a fairly nice suburb.
It is
in Melbourne, if you don't know.
In a city suburb.
Place is called.
Mm-hmm.
The place is called for massive wieners. Massive wieners.
Massive wieners.
Massive wieners.
Now, what does
hot dog shop?
Oh, right. Okay. Good to have some
hot dog shop. Massive wieners. There's no other way around.
Oh, wow. Well, so I'm obviously a hot dog shop where the hot dogs are massive.
Are massive. So,
massive.
Surely we love a good pun.
We do.
We always love a good pun.
And that goes through some business registration process that gets rubber stamped. I wonder.
Yeah, if you saw a sign like that out the front, you just think, well, man, I've got to go in.
It's almost like
that's one of the things we love.
Tourist attraction, surely. Is there any
massive tourist attraction?
Massive tourist. Is there any
massive wiener?
There's like a big hot dog on the top, well, I suppose you've got the big pineapple, the big banana, and in Paran they've got the massive wiener. Oh, here we have some lemons.
Okay. Yes, because this is what we got from YouTube.
Yes.
So, last week we received this as our sort of initiation into starting
into the realm
a YouTube. That's in the public, and there's apparently things that we cannot say, that is not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So to explain it without actually explaining it, it's like when you watch those movies and some spy receives a letter that looks something like this.
Oh,
I don't know if you can.
I can't see that with the image on the back. You're going to have to just explain to the. I'll just explain to those on our.
Okay, so you know how you receive something like that, which has the words, but all the lines drawn through it because it's been redacted.
It's been that's yes. So
that's what happened to us.
It did.
And we
But
thought, well, if YouTube handed us some lemons, we'd make some lemonade. So
that's it. That's all you can do.
feel free to have a look at episode 2 where we made some lemonade.
We made some lemonade. It's the common sense thing to do. And it turned out, we still got some content out there. Our full episode 2 podcast is available on Anchor and Spotify under Two Dads, which is TOO Dads. So you can hear.
I was rather upset about it first.
He was. I had to console Sid.
Yeah.
He's very new to social media and the platforms. But after
they really took the jam out of my donut, Phil.
They really did, didn't they?
The jam out of my donut.
They really did. I had to console you. You were inconsolable, and then it took me a couple of days, and you came around.
But the good part is we made lemonade. So.
We did make lemonade. So
enjoy.
Let's kick into episode 3. There's something you want to discuss.
Episode 3 is something that's very close to both our hearts. We are, we are both the type of guy that when you see out in public, if you're a lady, we'll open the door.
Mm-hmm.
If we're standing in line, we'll let the lady in first.
Yeah.
We're very respectful, and it's something I've always held close to my heart. It's the same with Phil as well. It's something very important.
Yep.
And this episode number 3, is called Angela or Angela.
Oh, Angela or Angela. I like that.
Okay.
That's interesting. All right.
I think of the Two Dads, we need to call it out. We need to call out, especially in the sphere of politics, how really abhorrent the women in politics,
business,
and in business as well. It's not just a glass ceiling. It's the media are just savage.
Absolutely.
And more so with women. And I just don't understand why. Because, for example, I mean, we don't always speak about the politics of EU, especially the politics of Germany. So Angela Merkel, which I have on really excellent advice from a work friend who is German.
Okay.
Is Angela. It's Angela.
Ah, so that's how it's
Angela.
pronounced. It's Angela. That's how they pronounce it. Okay.
Yeah. I always thought that it was always just said wrong.
We must have
Angela.
Well, yeah. Well, there you go.
It's Angela.
It's Angela.
Now she is 4 times elected, 4 times re-elected.
Wow. So she's had 4 terms.
Which is
that's
re-elected 4 times.
Yeah. Well, that's credit to her.
And she's only retiring because she's spent such a long time in the actual life. So I just thought that it was a really good segue to lead into something that especially in Australia, it's not just around the world. Obviously, we're going to speak about what happens locally, but
what we see and know. Yep.
It is an absolute, even shame is an understatement to see how we handle for women in for politics. Of one of our prime ministers, the first prime minister,
Julia
was female.
Yeah. Julia Gillard. Yeah.
The amount of media attention on what she was wearing.
I know.
The fact that she was single.
Yep.
The fact that her husband was a hairdresser, or her, I think it was
a boyfriend or partner.
Yeah. It was
certainly a hairdresser.
It was her partner.
Yeah.
There was one time where she did an interview in her house.
Out in Werribee. She was in Werribee, right?
Yeah. And she had an empty fruit bowl, which they made a huge deal out of it. For example, like she had some sort of an empty nest
Oh, good God.
And they just hammered her non-stop about things that are completely
Nonsensical
irrelevant.
and nonsensical, really.
You know, why do they care if she has if she has any kids? You know, what does she have to say about her plans for having children
Yeah,
and or not?
absolutely.
You know? Whereas the current Premier for New South Wales, him and his wife are having their seventh
Yeah, they announced
child.
that. 7.
So no one asked him who's looking after the kids. You know, it is never really a part of how the media deal with him. But
yeah,
for female, all the politicians, you know, I mean, obviously, for Pauline Hanson is a whole other genre.
well, yes, but you know, and credit to her, she stands up for herself.
Yeah.
She's earned that seat. It wasn't handed to her. Her seat in the Senate.
Voted for her.
People voted for her,
The people
and
voted for her.
she is doing exactly what she's been elected to do. So absolutely 100% credit to her, as do all other female politicians, you know, in all, whether the House of Reps or the Senate, in any capacity, really, right?
And it makes no difference if you agree with the position of the politician. Like
Yeah, it's
yeah, I think it's great to see someone standing up for what they believe in.
yeah.
Especially if it's not popular.
Well, you know who's a ripper? The Senator for Tasmania, Jackie Lambie.
Jackie Lambie. I was just about to say it.
Love
Jackie
her.
Lambie.
She
rips it.
She rips it, and quite rightfully
Yeah.
so. And I've heard and I've listened to a few of her speeches in the Senate, and she doesn't hold back, whether it be she gives it to both sides. She gives it to all of them. But why do you
I'm going to throw something out, right? I'm going to throw something out.
Go, throw it. Let's go.
I think when we talk about for honesty and really standing up for what you believe in, I believe the females in the political sphere take a more stronger standpoint and are less likely to be, you know, in front of ICAC, IBAC, UCAC, for all of us can CAC.
Yeah, whatever. They're a bit more definitive, right? They're very more, they're not so much on the fence. That's what I find. They don't, I mean, some claim, and the media will say that there's political spin and things like that, but I would disagree. I mean, when I've heard female politicians, and not let's not just limit this discussion to politicians. It's even women in business. I mean, we have women, and particularly in places where I've worked and currently work, females who are in very senior positions, right? So I just find that the media definitely has a role to play in this, how they portray it. And from what I've seen, female politicians will call it out as it is, but with always the best intentions of what's right for the people and for the country and for the party. It's not looking to score points. It's not looking for political gain, from what I've witnessed. But I don't understand them why they are treated the way they are. And
it's savage and unconscionable how female politicians, or what they have to deal with. It's not, male politicians don't have a look at for Barnaby Joyce.
Yeah, I know.
The guy he admits adultery and everything else,
the
and all the
complete
impropriety.
Betrayal. Yeah, and he's still there.
And he still stands up like he's
done nothing wrong.
He's fully relevant and for credible. You know, for Christian Porter.
Yeah.
Come on, that makes my mind explode. The guy was the highest legal authority in the land.
In the country.
And all of a sudden, nobody knows how or who has paid over $150,000 with the legal bills
it's just
for him suing the ABC, which he didn't have to, but
No.
Now all of a sudden, I don't know. I don't know who paid. Even ScoMo stood up for him. And ScoMo is so void of any integrity at all that he has to say that, for that girl that was assaulted in Parliament House.
Yes, yeah, that's
right. His wife had to say to him, but Scott, you just have to think about it as if it was one of our daughters.
Yeah, but
that's insane.
That should be the first thing you think of, right?
And he actually says that in public.
Towing the political line. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's always the political line, whereas female politicians, and it's not just within the Houses of Parliament and within their own political parties. Yeah. It even goes beyond that. It goes out in society. Now, with a lot of politicians are on Twitter, are on Facebook, and they're the main ones that I've seen them on, and that's how they're able to reach constituents and get information out there.
Yeah.
But some of the behaviour that our female politicians have to, well, they shouldn't have to, but are subjected to, is what I should say.
Yeah.
It's just appalling, because you've got these online trolls that think they can say whatever they want, do whatever they want, disrespectfully.
Yeah,
and
they had.
There's one female politician that had to basically, her staff, her team, they went off Twitter for a period of time just because of what they were receiving. And this goes beyond just how they're treated. Pay equity is another problem I have when it comes to females.
There should never be any difference. You know me.
Exactly.
You know my stance on affirmative action. It's completely irrelevant. It shouldn't happen. Everyone should be where they are because
based on the merits of what they perform.
That's right. Only for merit, and that's it.
Yeah.
It evens out everything.
Yeah.
No one should say, I need 5 females, I need 5 Aboriginals, I need, This is completely irrelevant. Everyone should be equal. I mean, we both have a daughter.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Why it feels so uncomfortable that you may have to explain to them for one day, that you will be judged on your looks first instead of
who you are,
instead of your heart, your education, your experience. People will judge you for your looks first, and if you happen to be very attractive, then somehow your path may be a little bit easier, which is completely wrong,
Absolutely.
And I mean, really, how many attractive homeless women have you ever seen?
Well, I guess that comes down to, historically, yes, attractiveness is the first thing, but that's not the only thing. And that can go even to the, way over to the other side of it, where that can be seen as, a crime, not a crime, but you're flaunting something and you're being provocative and all that sort of stuff as well, right?
Yeah, and my problem is that the same ethos is not leveled at men.
No.
Men, it doesn't matter what you look like.
No, it's not.
It's all about everything that you've done, or
To really put it in simplistic terms, a female that would have maybe, call it multiple partners or be with a lot of different guys, what is she considered? I don't want to say what starts with this. Whereas the guy, he's a stud.
Yeah, he's a man. It's fine.
Normal. Whereas the other, and that just seems to me, again, a stereotype, which
full double standard,
which that comes down to a generational problem, where the older generation need to teach the younger generation, and that comes about mutual respect and understanding. And getting back to your introduction, opening doors, being respectful. We both have sisters, you and I.
we both have sisters, we both have daughters, we both obviously have mothers, which is obvious point, but the respect doesn't stop there. Like,
no, it should be extended.
Yeah,
right.
As men, we should be embarrassed and heartbroken that it is for 2021, and still
we're talking about this.
Still have this. Yeah, we're still having the conversation. We're still how men interact with women. When they see a woman walking across the road, they'll beep the horn.
Wolf whistle.
Or the women walking near a work site, and some kind of,
or some sort of comment
whistle. I mean, is this our most intelligent way of interacting? Exactly. What do you expect the woman to actually do?
Yeah.
Like, you really think that she's going to turn around and ask you if you want to go out for coffee or something like that? It's insane, and we should be embarrassed as men.
Oh, look,
we should be embarrassed.
Sometimes I have witnessed that in public, and absolutely, I'm embarrassed because my first thought, and this is haven't even grown up. When I was younger, it was like, well, that could be someone's cousin, because I grew up with a lot of female cousins. Or that could be someone's sister. And now, as a father, it's like, well, that's someone's daughter. Particularly when they are young women, of early teenage years, or later in their teens, before they hit adulthood as an 18-year-old. And I just think that's just, you're a grown man, you should know better and show a little bit more respect instead of showing off to your mates or being, I mean, sometimes it
needs to be called out. It
absolutely.
needs to be amongst men in general. This is why we're making the love letter for common sense.
Exactly.
To highlight a point that's important for the future, because it really, I mean, look at the epidemic for all the violence in the home. It's exponentially has increased when we should be more enlightened. It shouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any statistics in front of me. I don't understand how much that's changed from, if you go back to the 60s and 70s, if that was a feature, if it wasn't. I felt the way you and I both we grew up, luckily, in a homes where we didn't see that.
Yeah. Right.
So it's hard to understand why that happens. It's unfortunate that it does. And what's good now is that there are services and there's help and there's something out there for these women to be able to turn to. But it all comes back to, for me, as you said, should be embarrassed as men. I can't understand how a man feels more like a man for doing that, for one, but then also speaking to women the way that they do sometimes, the wolf whistling, all that sort of stuff. It's really difficult for me to comprehend.
I think at the core of it, as men, we fundamentally are intimidated by.
Oh, look, yeah, we are by women.
Yeah, because we don't understand them.
You know what the truth is? Women do run this world.
Oh, 100%.
Women do run this world. And I don't mean that in the sense they rule over us. There wouldn't be procreation without women, for starters.
Well, really, if men were the ones to have the babies
no chance.
Inside them for 9 months and give them birth, can you imagine?
No chance.
It'd
be 2 years maternity.
There'd be some sort of a statue in every town, like like Anzac.
Some sort of.
There'd be some because we'd want so much. Recognition for the fact that we're the ones that have the babies.
Yeah.
But since the dawn of mankind, all women they are the mothers of society. So
absolutely.
What they have to face every day of their life is very significant
Mm-hmm.
by
Absolutely.
what we as men
Mm-hmm.
have to actually face. You know, I mean,
That's true.
you, even can you imagine if men had to go through the monthly cycle?
Oh, that's just getting a cold's bad enough, right?
Can
Getting
you
a
imagine
cold.
the ads for Bunnings?
Oh. I'm
Hey,
just
Mick, if it's that time of the month, you know, you got to get
not only that, there'll be a lot
a
of
work site.
annual leave being taken. Can't come into work today. Got to take a sickie. You know what I mean?
But I think that's the fundamental part that men just in general
Yeah.
are intimidated
Right.
because they don't understand.
And bringing it back to women in politics, women in business, just and not only in business, it could be in all forms. I'm not just talking about corporate. I'm talking about all industries, entertainment, the arts, fashion, whatever whatever it is. You're right. A part of it is intimidation. I do agree with you, and it's sad that it is that, as opposed to recognizing them for the outstanding contributions that they can make. And there's a lot of women out there, politicians. The Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinta herself, who is a mother.
Exactly what I was going to mention. She had a child while in office.
Exactly. And I know
Amazing job she does.
A lot of
absolutely amazing
senior managers where I work are mothers. And yes, it's a juggle. And yes, they get help. But that's beside the point. They are no less a mother than any other mother, in my eyes. In fact, sometimes I'm in awe of how they're able to do it, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
How they do it. And it just goes to show that their ability to be able to split themselves in so many different ways and deliver what they need to work-wise, then to their family, their children, and if married, their husband plus friends, parent, they're able to multitask. And I think the intimidation is we struggle as men to do that sometimes. Absolutely.
Yeah. And and the stereotype is that for women they're more sort of emotional than us, but this is also false. Because
absolutely.
men are as equally as emotional.
Yes, they are.
But our problem is that we don't know how to express it in a way that actually is helpful.
And with common sense sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
And with common sense. So.
And I'm guilty of that. I'm prepared to put my hand up and say that I'm guilty of that at times.
I mean, I saw on one of the programs on the ABC that you should be able to remember it. I think she's a Greens senator.
Oh.
Her name is Hanson Young.
Yes.
Hanson Young.
Yes.
Yeah. So they showed a clip. She was in Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
She was making her speech,
and
there was another male senator who was going in and out of the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
They were having some sort of a function, and he just he kept having more and more alcohol coming in, going out, coming in, going out, and then this is on the TV. It's like, when they do the broadcasts for question time
in the chambers. Yes. Yeah.
This guy keeps moving closer and closer to her, saying the most disgusting things about her and who he believes she slept with. And he just keeps going on and on. And she's trying to make a speech, and you see her turn around and, just trying to still
address the chamber. Well, she has the floor.
Then the speaker tells her to leave.
Really?
The speaker tells her to sit down because she's not for continuing her speech. She's stopping, starting, and you can hear this guy the whole time.
Wow.
It's
playing
that
politics.
would never happen if that was a man.
Wow. No, they wouldn't be asked to sit down. That gentleman would have been thrown out of the chamber.
Yeah. So, I mean, I even read that for Parliament House, they only put female toilets in the 70s. The mid-70s was the first time they put...
There's probably a reason for that. If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't until probably early to or late 60s where I believe women, and hopefully if I'm wrong, please listeners and viewers tell me, but I know there was some sort of bill. It might have been in a particular state, it might have been state elections, if I'm not mistaken, Queensland, but allowed to vote. It wasn't in at the conception of federation. It was only in the 60s or something like that they changed the laws, and I believe it's state law.
Which reminds me, for Queensland, it was up to 1968, I think, it was illegal for women to be in the pub.
Yes.
With men.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. From going that point, we should have come so far.
I think that's
why are we still so ignorant?
Yeah, just to clarify, I think that's what I'm thinking of. Being able to be in a certain premises, not so much voting,
in a pub.
But a certain premises. Yeah. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Because I knew it was Queensland. I knew it was something that was ludicrous that a woman wasn't able to do in the 60s, that a man was able to do. But if we go back, and I mean, you brought up on politics, when Julia Gillard was Prime Minister and the first female Prime Minister for Australia, I actually think it was a good thing.
I think it was a fantastic thing.
Very good thing for this country. Yeah. And it's something which I hope we do see again. Because honestly, I actually think it's something that this country needs. Because I think it will provide a different perspective on how certain issues are dealt with, things like climate change, things like, clearly in Australia, the policies and everything when it comes to our Indigenous Australians and the stolen generation, an apology was given by the then Prime Minister Rudd. But just because you say sorry, you have to do things to back that up.
Doesn't mean you are sorry.
You have to do things to back that up, right? You just don't say sorry.
Because it's implied that you're sorry.
Exactly,
right? You actually are.
Exactly. But honestly, I do think, and I've had discussions with my wife, the Athena of real estate.
The Athena of real estate.
I've had discussions how much in awe, how jealous we are of New Zealanders and having Prime Minister Ardern over there, who I have taken the time to go out of my way to listen to some of her speeches. Brilliant.
Yeah, she speaks with integrity. She speaks with
exactly
all the conviction. She would never stand up and say, "Oh, my husband said to me, you should probably think that may be one of our kids." ScoMo has hired someone that they pay 150 grand a year as a consultant. For some sort of empathy, like an empathy
to teach him empathy.
Consultant. This is
good God!
The insanity.
Hey, hang on.
Our Prime Minister needs someone to consult for empathy.
Hang on a second. How legitimate is this claim that you're making, Sid? Or is this a conspiracy that you're drumming up?
No, it's not a conspiracy. He has an empathy consultant.
You didn't see it on Telegram, did you?
No. I did not do my research on Facebook. I don't have Facebook. I'm quite proud of the fact that I don't.
You are, and so you should be, because I tell you, not to get into it, but
ScoMo is an embarrassment.
So ScoMo,
as well as the Onion Eater as well, who was in the time for Julia Gillard. So that man.
So ScoMo,
where do you start?
For our listeners in Australia, they know who ScoMo is. It's our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison.
Scott Morrison.
For those, if we've made it past the international waters of Tasmania, ScoMo is Scott Morrison nickname.
On the best straight.
It's a nickname that's been given to by himself to a certain degree. Yep. So he's had to hire an empathy consultant to teach him
That is correct.
Iffy.
Because I don't know whether it's just for public, so that they make. This is the complete idiocy in the whole thing. They advertise the fact, and they believe that then the public will think, oh well, maybe he's doing he's actually making an effort. But seriously, this is what I want to get to. The point is right. The reason why a female prime minister would be so much more would be such a would do the job immensely.
Oh, absolutely, I agree with you.
An immense improvement to, if you don't talk about the politics, you don't talk about anything else, just the fact that she's female, because she hasn't lived an existence for privilege. She hasn't lived an existence where only because your old man knows someone for the Liberal Party, you got
get you in and
pre-selection,
influence, blah blah blah. Agree.
Yeah, and you've been to. I'm not saying that there's no private schools for girls. Obviously, there is.
Yeah, absolutely, there is.
But this has always been a stepping stone.
Yeah.
In all the areas for legal, if you know someone, it helps you get into a law firm that's got more of a name, and then you can move on into politics, and it's a path, especially if it's in your family.
Yeah, you get that. It's who you know, not what you know.
But I don't think women in general have that if we're calling upon. I don't think
they can't.
They have to work. They have to work six times harder.
Well, that's why you get better results, in my mind. That's why you get something, and that's why you see how. Yeah. And getting back to Prime Minister Angela Merkel. Yeah. 4 times re-elected.
Yep.
I mean, that's a credit.
4 terms. She's been re-elected 4 times.
4 times. Consecutively.
She's steered the country through some, horrible times.
And their economy is booming. People want to live there. I think there's more people trying to get there than trying to get out, right?
And she's a scientist. She's an engineer.
Wow.
She's an engineer and something else.
Okay.
I can't remember right now.
Obviously, that's her academic background, but
that was her thing. But she was always, she always liked to be sort of active in the political sphere. She was actually from East Germany in the old days when the war was up. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's.
I do agree with you. This country could use, and I hope in my lifetime I do see another female prime minister. And
I want to tell my daughter that she can be whatever she wants.
Absolutely, but they can.
She's never going to be held down only because she's female. This is
not at all
completely irrelevant.
No, and it needs to become irrelevant, and in the sense of we always talk about gender pay gap. That seems to be the measure, which is, sure, it's a measure, but it's not the only measure. We're talking about, glass ceilings and the ability for females to climb a corporate ladder. Well, thankfully, we have seen that change in certain organizations where the CEO of banks, major organizations, global organizations, the CEOs who are female. Getting back to my point, where I work currently, we have a very good balance between male and female senior managers. I work with a few of them, and they're fantastic. I find them at times easier to work with than I do.
I 100% agree.
Right, because I don't have to follow up with them to get stuff done.
Yeah. There's less ego.
Absolutely. And when it is a discussion about something that's gone wrong, it's a discussion that is constructive, as opposed to dealing with some of the other senior male managers who just go on a rant.
Yeah.
Right.
So the male managers, or for those sort of the higher ups executives, if everyone's used to the ranting and the raving and the screaming and the shouting. now they are seen as just sort of being assertive. But if that was a woman,
it's not assertive. Yeah,
they would label her as the B word.
Yeah, and going against the grain and
Yeah,
causing problems and things like that.
but yet if a woman's assertive, she's the B word.
Yeah.
If a man's assertive, well, then he's an executive. This is completely. It is really abhorrent, and the only way we're going to try to reverse this is by having the young realise
absolutely
where all this sits.
Well, Sadiq, it's not only
and try to work against it,
but it's not only about teaching our daughters; it's also about educating our sons.
Exactly, you're 100% right.
That's what it's about.
It's the same advice that I give my daughter, I should be giving my son as well. It's not.
Absolutely.
It's not for double standard.
And
integrity, self-worth, honesty. These are the cornerstones of you need to be a very good human being.
Yeah, and to give you some confidence, that does exist out in society. I mean, I have the younger generation in my family who are male. They understand that, and I do see them post, particularly my godson who is in the UK at the moment. He posts a lot of his posts on social media are about respect for women. Out in public, things like not to spike drinks, teachers don't only teach your daughter, teach your son. And clearly he gets that message. He also has 3 sisters. So he understands the importance. Whereas if I take that and look at other members of my family who are all brothers, had no female influence in the household other than their mum, they have exactly the same attitude of respect and equality and treating women and girls the same. And not objectifying them or not putting them down or not thinking they're better than them. And that comes down to the fact that as you teach your daughters to lift them up, you have to teach your sons as well.
Yeah.
The respect factor.
Because the respect shared amongst all of us,
we're all human, mate.
It raises our whole society.
Mate, if the person can do the job and the right person for the job, their gender or whatever, however they identify themselves, is irrelevant.
That's right.
It's 100% irrelevant. Because I think that's another important thing we should. I mean, we're talking about males and females. There's some out there in society that don't identify themselves that way, which is absolutely perfectly fine, and it's their right to. And they are equally, if they can perform the task that's required, work-wise, whatever they pursue, they should be treated in such a way that shows them respect.
Well, I think that's equally important, and that's also it makes everyone on the same level.
But we're all human.
Yeah, so
mate,
it shouldn't matter.
We're like Easter eggs, Sadiq, right? This is the way I like it. We're like Easter eggs. Easter eggs, they all have a different wrapping. But when you unwrap them, they're all chocolate on the inside. They're the same.
Speaking of chocolate.
Oh, have we segued into something accidentally?
Speaking of, we always our whole aim was to make sure that we make the subject of every show something that's actually serious.
Absolutely.
It's actually a real issue it's a real issue in society. So we do really appreciate your time, and it's something that we feel really needs to be said by just a couple of dads. Yeah, because we're just ordinary guys,
one's out in the west, one's out in the northwest, and someone out in the south, southeast. So we've covered all of metropolitan Melbourne. Between
Bill managed to run across something on Facebook, which I don't know any other.
Oh goodness me! It's a big, but the photo doesn't.
Look at the guy's face with the glasses.
So for those who are on YouTube, what you are looking back there, what this is, and I'll explain also for our listeners.
Yeah.
What this is, that there's a service that's available. I'm not quite sure in which country, but you are able. I'm not quite sure.
It's in America.
It's in America. Okay.
Where else would it be?
Probably. There you go. You are
Where else would it be?
make
in the land with people with no taste.
The chocolate mold of your what do we call it, Sid?
Starfish.
We'll give it the comical term of your anus. We can say that. We can do butt chocolates. That's what they're called. Butt chocolates. You can provide someone the gift of...
I'm losing the graphic now. I just can't do it anymore.
A personalized gift where they take a mold of your sphincter, and from that you can have chocolate gifts personally.
So this is what's wrong. This is what's one of the things that's wrong with society, that this kind of thing exists.
Where does it end? I mean, how does that phone call...
Apart from the health regulations.
I know. First off, the phone call when you ring up and you say, listen, I have a very special event coming up. I have my 25th wedding anniversary and I'd like a special gift.
If you gave someone the box, you know, as soon as they open it, they're going to think, so why would you give me a whole lot of half-eaten chocolates?
That's taken.
Because that's what they look like. But oh man, it's just some of the things that are out there just mind blowing as to how
it just goes to show
what people can do.
Well, I guess it goes to show you can diversify business, and there'd be people out there, Sid, who would...
In a pandemic, people are finding just any way in order to make a business.
Just like episode 2.
And they'll start from the bottom.
Literally. What? It's just the process. We'll wrap up and we'll talk about it, but let's just talk about this process. You walk in and you have to sit in a chair upside down.
Yeah.
And they will take a mold. So they'll apply the molding clay or whatever, the resin or whatever they need to. And they'll go, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Give it time to set. And then there you go. You can... Do you get that? Do you get the mold that you can go home and you can do it as a baking experience with your family? And
you make scones.
That's all right.
What is scones?
I mean, there's chocolate. What else can you do?
Flavors.
I mean, then, you know, sorted flavors. Absolutely. Do you have flavored centers? You can squeeze said chocolate or something. Good God.
It's all just going to get worse the more we try to. I think we need to move from the weird. To really the wonderful. I think.
Yes.
You know, this story we broke last week.
You broke. If I'm thinking what I think it is.
Broke last week.
Broke it.
Know, I just like everyone to really be shocked and in awe that for Melbourne has a new superhero. I don't know if there's an old superhero.
Wow.
But we have a new superhero.
We do. Is it who I think it is?
It's the Blind Lion.
It is the Blind Lion. So
the Blind Lion. Now,
yes.
who I said that I saw.
That's right. You did.
From the car as I was driving, and
right.
Earlier this week I happened to go for a walk at work, and you wouldn't believe who I saw. You would not believe.
Oh, no way! Who is that in the background?
I was just walking.
Oh, it's the Blind Lion.
I was walking down for Glenferrie Road, and guess who I see?
It's legit.
It's legit. This is like I've never been so excited in my entire life about something that it is.
And it is crossing the road at the moment.
It is for the man and the myth, the Blind Lion. So those looking at to the music.
Those on YouTube can see this, but our listeners, footage rolling behind Sadiq. So head over to our YouTube channel and the Blind Lion. The real life superhero. It's not an urban legend. It's the real.
And he bows. He bows. He's so nice.
There he
Look,
is.
look
There
at that.
he or she is and strutting away, ladies and gentlemen.
The blind
That's legit.
lion.
That was the blind.
Oh my God. I've never been so excited
So I
at
guess if
any
anything,
time.
it just goes to show that these aren't made up stories. We
They are not made up stories. This is
made up
actually
stories.
someone that
Yeah,
I've seen.
yeah,
And I thought maybe I was imagining things also, but he's the real deal.
yeah. You got a selfie with the blind lion.
The blind lion. He's just rocking, and he's got his stick.
Well, he could
He's
go.
so nice. He's just waving
Yeah,
at people. In everything that's happened with the pandemic, with all the people
yeah, with
protesting,
lockdowns.
all
Yeah,
the lockdown, everything else. This guy is just
bringing
going
some joy.
out just to bring joy. That's it.
And now can go beyond the
You,
15K limit. It can't go into regional Victoria, so unfortunately, for
yeah.
now, regional Vic are going to have to wait. But
So
regional
I'm
Vic
going to put a massive shout out for the
Lions
blind
come.
lion, and if
Absolutely.
anyone sees him in the area for like South Yarra, for Glenferrie Road in Melbourne, he's just
Stop by, have a selfie and send it to us, and we'll put you up
yeah.
in our background. Absolutely.
He's a man. I can say that 100%
Okay.
because from the conversation. But
Okay, so it is a male.
I just find it so reassuring in humanity that there's just a guy who decided, no, I'm just going to walk around
In a
and
lion
just
suit.
make people happy
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
no other reason. He's not expecting anything,
No,
you know.
just doing it.
He's not expecting anything at all.
He's out for his daily
And
walk, exercising, dressed
in
up.
the orange jumpsuit and the
Yeah,
lion's head.
and away you go.
And
Well, he's
I mean,
technically
really, I could have gone further. I could have asked him who he was and all that, but
no.
it's like you
He's the
don't want to
blind.
know the
No,
real identity of the superhero
not at all.
because
That ruins it.
it ruins everything.
Ruins
So
everything. Wow.
even for those that are listening, if you see the blind lion
Yep.
when you're out and about in Melbourne, in the city somewhere,
Tell us.
please send us something.
Send us Gmail is
Give them a hoot.
toodads.pc@gmail.com. That's toodads.pc@gmail.com, and let us know, because we would love to be able to continue the wonderful story and the joy that
Of the blind lion.
that he brings.
Of the blind lion. He's just so amazing that a man is just
Totally
used up his own time just to
Yeah.
entertain people.
Yeah.
All the kids are waving, he's so
Puts a smile on
like
his face.
he does like a little
Oh yeah, he does a little acknowledgement.
bow, like a little bow.
See,
Says thank you.
This is the kind of social media that's good, as opposed to on certain platforms where it's becoming
Yeah.
a lot more anti-social media
Yep.
of late. So good on you, Blind Lion.
It's really it was like I couldn't
No, I couldn't
I
believe
got
it.
hit by 3 cars while
Yeah, trying to run across the road. I saw in the
I'm thinking, what this is really not happening.
Oh.
It's amazing. But no, really, I really want to add him as like a superhero of Melbourne,
Yeah,
because I've
absolutely.
never experienced where there's someone just selflessly entertaining.
Not expecting
Just
anything.
anyone.
Not busking, just going around and really just putting a smile on people's faces, which right now
And I think he is actually
fantastic thing.
blind because
Really,
he's got
because
his stick. Yeah.
right? So maybe he's
And
edge of some. It must be an
Yeah.
impairment. I
it's
guess.
impairment, and obviously, all
Vision
superheroes
impairment,
stick to
yeah.
the rule, stick to
Yeah.
the rules. So he did have a mask,
Underneath.
but he was holding the mask on the end of the stick.
Oh,
So
right.
as he's walking around,
It's
the
dropped.
mask has ended up at the bottom.
It's hard. Is that what I saw something on the footage that was dragging along? Is that what that was?
So the mask has ended up at the bottom. But
Ah.
the blind lion is my hero.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So please, if you see him out there on the streets of Melbourne, please send us something saying when and where you saw him.
absolutely. Get a selfie if you can.
He really seems like a wonderful man.
Yeah. So what else we want to wrap up with, Sadiq, before we get back to the hot topic and close out? this
Now,
episode.
I did. So we went from the weird. We've been to the wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll go to the strange.
Uh-oh.
I did see on the streets of, I think it was for I think it was Hawthorne. Hawthorne, maybe. Yeah. In Hawthorne, I was at an intersection and I see this guy on a scooter just like,
electric or
yeah, electric. Like it's like I saw the future.
just flash.
Because he had all the LED lights and everything on this scooter. Some unbelievable scooter that was
Like
probably like $8,000.
wow. So like
I've seen
car.
these scooters, yeah. So,
Oh.
and I thought to myself, well, why don't you just buy a car? A scooter would seem as an incidental mode of transport.
Yeah, true. Not as a
instead of.
yes.
You know? But he was going faster. He was going more than 60 because he was overtaking cars.
Oh, good. He had somewhere to be.
Yeah. And the thing is that, which I've never seen, so I'm assuming either he made it or they actually sell it. But the scooter had a trailer. This is the reason why.
So he really needs a car.
This is the reason why I'm saying that. Yeah, this is the reason why I'm saying that it's not just someone that's using a scooter to go from the train station home or something like that.
He's substituted.
That's right, because the scooter had a matching of a trailer that was large enough. It was the size of
fit a suitcase?
2 international suitcases.
So
and it had all the wheels and the.
Is it cheaper for registration to have a scooter?
There's no registration. There's no registration for a scooter. I'm talking electric scooter.
Electric
There's
scooter.
There's no registration.
Maybe that's why he's got it. You know, it's $700 odd bucks for registration.
But this guy was overtaking cars.
He's probably built this. He's probably taken
the scooter and the trailer.
He's probably got a scooter and he's done something. He's been because you know what it's like. You tinker with cars. You used to when you had the Mazda. So he's probably, and that's the MX-5 what I'm talking about, the tinkering.
Yep.
But so he needs a car. Doesn't want to pay for a car. So
he's going to pay, but he's going to pay $8,000 for a scooter.
Souped up his scooter with a trailer. Is it lockable?
Yeah, it had all. You know what it looked like?
Like one of those U-Haul van things. You know the ones in America, like a
but it looked like one of the equipment that they use for roadies. You know. And
yes.
They go for gigs and all that. It was that big, and it was lockable. So I've never seen an electric scooter.
So he's going that fast with something that can swerve around.
Overtaking cars. Overtaking cars.
But clearly it's too wide for him to go in between cars as a scooter wouldn't be able to, like a motorbike, right? Like he can't go between traffic. He's just behind traffic, but he's...
Yeah, and still just overtaking people. I just thought that was...
Wow. And they can travel on the road without a registration?
Well, that's it. The law is if any kind of vehicle goes over 40 k's an hour, it needs to be registered.
Mm. Is that federal or state law? We're not going to get into that. Okay. So ScoMo's not going to do anything about it.
Well, you do have a Huawei router, so
yeah.
I think that was part of the problem last time. We'll get censored on that as well once we let people know.
A scooter. Well, you are around a lot because of your work, so you always see interesting things. Always somewhere, and it doesn't surprise me that you've seen something.
I still haven't seen the pimp again though, so that's
no the pimp. Well, I think he's probably.
I think that was only a one-off.
I think he's cleaned his washing. He's good. So, is there anything else, or we can bring it back? You think to wind up?
No, I think we can wind back to things more serious.
Yeah.
Right before we close off, I think this is. As much as we like to make a few light moments in our show, but it is. I mean, really, I wouldn't say epidemic, but
It's a problem.
It is endemic
Mm.
or 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 systemic
Mm-hmm.
in our society. The fact
Yeah.
that our female half of the population are not. There's a whole other set of rules
Rules, yeah,
when
exactly.
it shouldn't be that way. And this
No.
is even, it's not only males that are doing this; it's also other females as well.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
completely incorrect.
Mm.
Completely incorrect. And everything we've seen over the years, when it's a female, I mean, have a look at what's happening for the former uh, Premier of New South Wales.
Exactly. She's
She
getting
did
put through.
a fantastic job, but now she has to pay for a relationship that she had,
Mm.
and the
The question, right?
impropriety that's
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
implied. Whereas I really feel if she was a man,
It'd
that
play
kind
out
of
different.
situation wouldn't
It'd play
would
out
not have
different.
happened.
Well, not to get into it, but how did it play out with Barnaby Joyce?
Exactly.
Completely
He's
different.
still there.
Exactly. Completely different, right? But I agree. It is, call it endemic, systemic. And I guess my input into this love letter is we just need to get back to recognizing people that we're all human and treating people with equality and with respect and not looking at who the person is, but what they're doing and how they're going about it. And if they're doing a good job, support them, lift them up. Don't get into this, well, don't fall into the trap of intimidation based on what they're able to achieve. If that does intimidate, if you do feel intimidated, well, then that should be a reflection on what you need to do to be better, not put them down, right?
I think men need to re-educate themselves.
Yeah, and like you said, some females as well, but it does come, and it's all about education, right? And it comes, and it's not just in the schools. It's not just the teacher's job to do this education. It's as parents.
It's in the home.
It's as brothers or sisters or uncles or whatever your capacity is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to just be for the younger generation. There's nothing stopping you from calling out the older generations as well. Yes, they may be stuck in their ways, but their ways in today's society, they need to catch up and change as well.
Yeah, well, I'm exactly the same as you. I'm in awe of my wife for all the things that she's done.
Yeah,
That she's done in
lucky.
her life, and for her to be where she is, been through everything that she's had to go through. And I don't. It sounds weird to say, but I don't think if she was a man that she would have succeeded.
I agree.
Because I just don't think men in general have such intestinal
Fortitude, isn't it?
to be able to move their lives on to such a higher point, and have the goal of improving your life in every level.
Yeah,
which,
absolutely. It is admiration of the highest level, and nothing more. Jealousy is low hanging fruit in this situation.
That's right.
Right. So it should be admiration. Well, that wraps up episode 3. A fantastic topic, Sid, to bring for episode 3. Extremely relevant, and you are right, as you said, something that you and I both hold very in high importance and advocate absolutely the abhorrence of it. Yeah. Right. The abhorrence of it. And we, as two dads, understand the responsibility of teaching our sons as we were taught. So we're just passing that on, and just something for society to be mindful of as we go around and conduct ourselves, and with comments that we make and the way we view people and things like that. We're all humans. So let's just treat each other with a lot more respect, a lot more kindness. And
at least have the conversation.
Yeah.
If it's something that's always in your mind, you'll rethink about how you interact, and you may be able to think of how you've sort of had to have situations in the past where you've reacted in a certain way, but you need to learn and be more enlightened.
Absolutely. And there's always opportunity to improve. Yeah. Improvement never ends. There's always opportunity to be better and to do better. Absolutely. There's no destination on that.
And it is something that we all play a part in. So we
absolutely
strive for righteousness, and I think that's everyone's ultimate sort of goal anyway. So,
well, a fantastic love letter written, Sadiq. Thank you
for a Friday night.
For a Friday night,
Freedom Day,
Freedom night. So it's what 10:30, and we can go outside if we want. So it's fantastic.
I'm allowed to now go anywhere I want, as long as it's not in the country.
That's right.
As long as it's not regional.
For now. Well, that's us for this week. Again, thank you for watching and for listening. We are Two Dads, the Two Dads podcast. Please, if you're here on YouTube, like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Click the little bell down below, that way you can see our latest updates. And
appreciate all the
Anchor and Spotify. Yeah, appreciate all the current listeners out there. Thank you. This topic, please let us know if there's something you feel that we can discuss. We're more than happy to take that. But for now, Sid, signing off. Have a great week. Take care.
Everyone. Have a good week.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.